White Christmas came out in 1954 and stars Bing Crosby, Kaye, Vera-Ellen, and Rosemary Clooney, who is the aunt to George Clooney. Little neat bit of trivia there. But anyway, the movie follows Bing Crosby and Kaye as this music group called Wallace and Davis. The group eventually meet the Haynes sisters, which is this musical sister act, and the two groups eventually travel to Vermont and end up trying to save this inn, which is being run by Wallace and Davis's old general from the war, World War II. Now, of all the movies that I'm reviewing for the Christmas spirit, White Christmas is the one that I might like the least out of the bunch, but it's also tied with The Muppet Christmas Carol as the one that I've seen the most. And why is that, you may say? Well, I do like this movie. I'm not in love with it like I am with all these other movies that I'm reviewing, especially tomorrow's review. But the reason I've seen this movie about as many times as I've seen The Muppet Christmas Carol, maybe more, is because this movie is kind of a family tradition. Every year for Christmas, my mom would have us all watch this movie 2 weeks before Christmas. So I just kind of embedded this movie in my mind. And I do like it. It is a very classic Hollywood-style musical with incredible dance sequences and beautiful production design. In terms of it being a dance movie, it's very much in the vein of Singing in the Rain, where the musical dance sequences are so incredibly well done. They're full of energy, they're fast-paced, and it's also helped by the very colorful sets during these scenes. A lot of the dance sequences take place on a stage, and what I mean by that, I mean like the stage built for them to try to put on a show, and it's just so bright, it's so colorful, it's so wide, and that just allows for some incredible movement and dance choreography. Even if there are a few points when it delves into the realm of Temple of Doom, where the stage is obviously way too big for the kind of building that it's supposed to be in. But whatever, I don't care about it that much in Temple of Doom. I have no reason to complain about it here. And there's about half of the musical numbers that really fit within the story, as in they're actually part of the performances that all the characters are doing. There are two songs in particular that really stick to my mind. One is the obvious White Christmas, because that's just a timeless song. And the other is Sisters, because whenever we watch this movie, my mom would always talk about how when she was younger, her and her sisters would sing this song whenever it pops up. And just recently, when we did that for the holidays, my aunt was in town, and the two of them ended up singing the song, so that's kind of the reason why that song is stuck in my head. I mean, it's a good song, regardless. And the four main actors do have a lot of charm and personality, especially when it comes to Kaye as Phil Davis and Vera-Ellen as Judy Haynes. These two actors really do have good chemistry together, and you do buy into the romance. It's very believable. In a way, it might come across as a little out of nowhere, but at the same time, their chemistry just works so well that you can buy it. Now, there's a lot to like in this movie, and the first half of the movie for me is really well done and really, dare I say, great. But the second half is where things just kind of take a wrong turn for me personally. Throughout a lot of the movie, there are a few musical numbers that just don't work, and these are usually the points where the characters just randomly break out into song, rather than performing songs that are authentic to the movie. I don't think the songs that are written for the random breakouts are as good as the ones that are actually performed for the audiences in the film. Another issue I have, and this is one of the cliches in movies, especially romantic comedies, that I can't stand, it's the failure to communicate. Basically, one character hears something else about another character, they get mad at the other character, that other character does not know what's going on and doesn't really try to communicate, and that one character decides to hate the other character for something that he technically didn't do, and you're just so mad that the character getting blamed is not using his words to try to explain the situation. It just pisses me off. It's a cliche that I absolutely cannot stand, and the moment this cliche pops up in White Christmas, I ultimately just kind of tune out of the movie. I just hate this cliche so much that I end up sometimes forgetting what happens in the second act and forget how it's even resolved. I have seen this movie multiple times, but the first half is just so good, and then the second half is just so forgettable for me. And one nitpick that I have, although it's just something that I find kind of funny, there's a scene when Wallace and Davis are trying to escape the cops. So they run in an alleyway, one of them shouts out for a taxi, and then, as if on cue, a taxi just pops up out of nowhere, conveniently in an alleyway. And it wasn't until my most recent viewing where I noticed that and pointed it out. It's a second long. It's not worth complaining about. I just found that pretty funny. So White Christmas overall, I ultimately think is a good movie. It's just not great in the long run. The stuff that's good in the movie is really, really good, and it very much feels like classic Hollywood. But once that cliche of we're not talking to each other for unknown reasons pops up, that's when the movie just goes downhill for me. I don't remember the second half being as long as the first half, so ultimately the good ends up outweighing the bad. So that's why I'm saying good but not great. It's not one of my favorite movies personally when I watch it on Christmas, but it is something that holds a place in my heart just because of a family tradition. And that's my review for White Christmas. Tomorrow's going to be my last Christmas review, and until tomorrow, I hope you enjoyed this review. Leave a comment down below and tell me what your thoughts are on the movie, if and when you've seen it. And as always, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.